What up, NBA fans? We are
What up,
back.
people?
The trio is back to talk about your basketball team. Today we got the Charlotte Hornets. Draft's done, free agency's done, if they even did anything in free agency. We're gonna break it all down. What we think of the roster, what we think of their pick or picks.
All right, well, let's talk about the elephant in the room first. Does it already feel like they're regretting not taking Scoot?
Miller did what he could. Miller didn't show anything that make you regret it. It just Scoot looks so good and even better than advertised. But yeah, yes. So yes.
Well, I think Miller, that is what he is. Like, he's going to be a really good second or third fiddle. And it doesn't warrant a number 2 pick to me. You know what I mean?
He's not going to be a bad player on his own.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I don't know. I'll be more critical of him after I see him play with LaMelo. Because I think LaMelo can make his job easier.
Yeah, that was stupid. That was so big.
The unfortunate thing is I was more excited about Kai Jones in Summer League than I was Brandon Miller. So that's not a good thing for sure.
Yes, their other rookies look good too. Like their second, blanking his name, second rounder was looking good. They got in like 40, 41. It's tough. It's tough for Brandon Miller because it's always going to be pinned on him. Because if Scoot has a big game, it's going to be, like Charlotte's just going to take the shit for it. But how good of a career does Brandon Miller need to have to reverse that?
If he's like the Trae Young to the Luka, do you think that's fine?
I would say that's fine.
That's a good point because that was a dumbass trade by the Hawks, but they still got Trae Young, who became a huge part of the Hawks culture. You're not going to win with them, but it depends. I just don't get it because they were selling the team. You'd think the new owners would want the most exciting prospect, and we don't need to shit on the Hornets the whole time, but like it was basically the last pick of the Jordan era because they let Jordan and Kupchak make the pick, which is stupid. If you're buying a team, and then maybe they did, you should have say over who they pick.
But is that shitting on him? Because like I don't want to hate on the Hornets, but I don't feel like Brandon Miller's going to make that team better. Like they're still going to be one of the worst teams in basketball.
Yeah, we're farting on him. That shit.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, LaMelo said he signed his extension because they're on the right path. I don't know what that path is.
He's like, we didn't draft a white center.
It feels like to me they need to trade Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier so you can really know where the real rebuild stands, in my opinion.
I feel like you're going to have to attach a pick just to get rid of him now.
Well, it depends because we felt that way about Eric Gordon in Houston, and it didn't work out that way. Ended up with Kent Whitmore in exchange for Eric Gordon, so that worked out. But I just feel like you have a better idea what you're doing when you can kind of like go in a new direction.
I mean, you get Miles Bridges back.
But he's a good player.
No, I know. I was saying you get something back.
Yeah,
I mean,
baggage, but off the court baggage. But hey, I mean, players have turned around. Like I always look at Ray Lewis as an example. People forget about his early, and then you can get past it as a person. People make mistakes, whatever. So if he gets back and gets back on the track that he was on, then which is also a little weird because he to me was, I mean, he's kind of a 4, but I thought he was a better runner at the 3. So it's like, is Brandon Miller the 2 then? It doesn't really matter about positions because you're not winning anything, but
I also feel like it doesn't matter for them. That could be your 3-4 because Bridges can switch out and guard the ball on the perimeter.
Yeah, and Bridges can throw it down too. He's way more explosive than Brandon Miller is.
I don't want to call Brandon Miller streaky because that kind of implies that it's like J.R. Smith was streaky where he would have 2 bad games and then a good game. But I think Brandon Miller is more streaky within the game. Like he literally might miss his first 10 shots, but he'll hit the next 8. So seriously, like that's how he does it. And then his numbers always equal out the same. So, like, I think there's parts of the game where Brandon Miller can carry the team. So, I hope he does.
It's not as bad of a pick as some people are reacting.
I think the Paul George comparisons is what got it for me. It's like I didn't see that. So when the people said that, I was like, shit, no. Now I don't like the guy.
What's really funny about Summer League, though, is if you're making a case for someone, it's everything. But then if you're trying to defend someone, then it's nothing. It's like, oh, it's just Summer League. Like, yeah. I've heard a few podcasts where they're shitting on the idea that Summer League matters. And then they're like, oh, did you see Scoot? Man, Charlotte fucked up. It's like, well, you can't really say – you can't have it one way and then do it the reverse. Like, I think ultimately, really, it doesn't matter that much. It looks good for Scoot. It looks fine for Miller. It looked okay for Wemby, but it's way too early to start writing this Hornets team. I mean, you can write them off for this year, but writing off that selection long term.
I think y'all both made a good case on it. Like, once you see him with LaMelo, with Bridges, with the whole roster of vets and all that stuff, I'm not saying they're going to win some games, but I'm saying, like, it's going to make his job a lot easier when the defense is focused on LaMelo over here and everything else. Like, you're not the guy out there right now. Because in Summer League, most of the time, the top draft picks, they're like, I'm going for him.
Yep.
Like, if I can take his cookies or I can dunk on him, I'm going to get noticed. Anything, that's how you get noticed. And you're going to be going up against a lot of more veteran-type players, especially at his position. Have fun, Brandon Miller.
Yeah, I was going to say, have fun guarding Jason Tatum.
Yeah, the second overall pick, there's definitely been some good ones, but it also seems like a tough spot for a lot of these picks. Like, I think back to the Jabari Parker draft and how excited I was that the Bucks got Parker, with Wiggins being the clear number one. But then Embiid was 3, and then Porzingis. So it was like, in hindsight, obviously it's like Embiid, but even in college he was hurt. So 2 is tough because there's usually a bona fide 1, and then if there's not a bona fide 1, then it puts almost more pressure sometimes on 2 than, I don't know. Like, wasn't Bagley the second pick in the Luka draft?
Yep.
Yeah. The Kings were like, all right, the best bigs off the board.
No, it wasn't Bagley. Bagley was the second pick. Yeah, he was. Was he? In that draft? He was the second pick, but I don't know if it was that draft.
I think it was Ayton, then the Kings got Bagley, and then the Mavericks had
yeah, I think you're right.
Or I guess the Hawks had the 3rd pick and then traded back to the 5th pick.
It's just like, look at Houston. It's like Jalen Green, number 2 pick. And he averaged 22 points last year, and he still doesn't get any credit, you know? People are critical of you because you're like, oh, he could have. It's like you just said, hindsight. Hindsight's always 50-50.
It was Bagley.
Well, and if it's on a bad team, like if you're the number 2 pick, unless they had some crazy trade from years ago, it's likely a very bad team. So it's tough to really judge because then people are like, oh, he had 22 points, was empty stats as a bad team. Well, it's like, what's he supposed to do? Just like not show up and wait till the team's good?
That's why I think LaMelo is so important to that team because he's one of the he's one of the people in the league who really can dictate how a game goes by pushing pace. Like he's that good.
Do you think he could ever be a top 15 player?
No.
20? What's his ceiling? Could he be the best player in a championship team?
Is there a difference between best player and most important player?
Yes.
Because he could be the most important player on a championship team.
You'd be a 1B.
For example, when the Bucks won, as good as Giannis was, that team is not winning without Chris Middleton. Like, Middleton had to take them games over sometimes. And I think that's what LaMelo can be. Like, he's obviously going to have more star power than Chris Middleton, but he's like, I think that he's got the kind of game where he can defer to somebody who could get their own bucket, but I control the rest of the team.
Point guard, Chris Bosh.
Yeah, something like that.
Like, not style, but just
no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I can defer to the 1 or 2 players that are better than me, but I'm running the rest of the show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then if I'm running the show, then those other 2 just fall in line. So I think that he can be on a championship team because he's so willing to pass and he's so good at it.
And Brandon Miller could be your best player.
Ooh, I didn't say that.
Backpedal.
Who's the fourth best? Who's the fourth most valuable Hornet right now? If we're saying Bridges is the third.
And that
it drops.
It's
LaMelo way up top. Then you go down to Miller.
Ooh, I really
then you get
look at their
out
roster.
of trouble.
Oh man,
I mean, PJ
it ain't Kai Jones.
Yes, I think it might be PJ Washington.
He's not on that team no more.
Oh,
They have not re-signed him. He's actually still a free agent.
He'd be restricted though, right?
Yeah, he's restricted. But that's the thing is they're not signing him because
They have to. I really think he's the fourth most valuable guy they have.
Trying to look at.
I agree because he averaged like 17 points last year or something. So he would, in theory, be the number 4. But if he doesn't come back, it would have to be Mark Williams, in my opinion, because you wasted a first-round pick on him for coming from Duke, and he played really good last year. So you kind of are banking on the fact that he locked that position up for you for a decade.
Yeah.
Well, Bouknight hasn't looked good at all.
He did in the summer league, but I expected him to look good in the summer league because he has.
Second-year guy is better. Yeah.
And they got Nick Smith. They drafted him, so that's another point guard. But I still think if PJ don't come, Mark Williams is going to probably be in our number 4 out. Like most, I think might bump him in front of PJ. To be honest with you,
I mean, he
I
almost
wasted
had
a first round pick.
double 9 points, 7.1 rebounds is what he averaged. It's not.
What path do you think Charlotte? I guess fans, because you see what OKC is doing. Houston's doing a similar thing with just a shit ton of young talents, which came from a shit ton of picks. Utah's doing a similar thing. They accelerated theirs quicker than people thought. But all these up and coming teams have just a boatload of young assets and talent. And San Antonio even now,
and they all have the same thing in common that Charlotte fails to stop doing. Do not pay for star power. Like, do it organically. You draft and you bring in young talent and you see what works. Look what Shea did for OKC. Look what Markkanen did for Utah. Houston, we just have a shit ton of youngsters.
The Detroit Pistons round, just start taking young talent that's not doing well on other teams and see what you got over here, bro. Like, I mean,
I feel like Michael Jordan has that old school mentality where he thinks he has a star to build around and he just starts paying people to play around him. Like the Tony Parkers and the Batums and the Gordon Haywards and the Roziers. Like, no disrespect, they're not bums, but like, quit giving your money to everybody.
They don't have any trade value either. Like, OKC was really smart after their guys left when they got Chris Paul, and they got these guys that had trade value so they could flip them for picks, flip them for – and, I mean, the Paul George trade fell in their lap. That was because Kawhi wanted him in L.A., but that getting SGA back – the problem with Charlotte, no one's going to give you shit for Rozier. No one's going to give you shit for Hayward. So you're signing these guys to star contracts who aren't stars. And then you had a guy, Kemba, who it turns out was on the decline, but he wanted to stay. Why not just pay him rather than going for Rozier? And it doesn't, The
but
Jordan
then they brought
era,
those guys in. They don't develop talent, and you lose a player like Malik Monk for nothing.
Yeah, Malik Monk was one of those guys, if you watch Hornets games for some reason, you'd be like, man, he's showing some flashes. And then he wouldn't put it together because he's playing for the Hornets. So we're kind of in this infinite loop of below mediocrity, and they did right with the LaMelo pick.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you can't really point to many moves where it's like, oh, wow, good job. Like Bridges was a good get too, it turns out, on the court. It's tough to be a Charlotte fan, and I don't know. I don't know. Oh, this might piss people off, but with Charlotte being North Carolina being such a hotbed for college basketball, would you ever see the Hornets leaving?
No.
Yes.
Not again. They already lost the team once. I don't see it happening twice. I really don't.
I will say this though, for the Charlotte fans that are out there, I give them that they're loyal. They're out there. I mean, they're kind of like
if you had such cool jerseys, you'd be loyal to.
Yeah, I mean, once they got rid of that Bobcat stuff, I think like the High School Musical logo that was
Oh, those are bad.
No, I'm not trying to hate on you, Charlotte fans, but unfortunately, I don't think you are going to do too much better than last year. To be quite
I was about to
honest.
say they finished 27-55 last year.
Okay, over under that. It'd be tough for them to win 30.
Yeah, I for sure would say under 30. I'm going to say under 27. To be honest with you.
I mean, getting Bridges back adds something.
Yeah, but he's going to miss like 30 something games.
Right. Then he'll be rusty as hell.
Yes. And then you got to think about
this,
the teams in the East that'll be better.
Pistons,
yeah,
Magic, Wizards.
Not that.
Yeah, I think with Coulibaly, I think this will be their bottom out year, which sucks because it's a very lowly regarded crop of prospects coming up. But I think this could be, I agree, low 20s. And then next year will be the year that they show flashes, which is kind of depressing.
If I was a true Charlotte Hornets fan, my thing would be run it like it is, be sellers at the deadline for teams that are going to want the Gordon Hayward and the Roziers to make their final push. And I'm not trading for picks because James just said the next two drafts ain't that great. I'm trying to take on young talent from other teams. I'd be on the phone with the Bucks and be like, I will give you Gordon Hayward for Marjon Beauchamp today.
Oh, no.
But the Bucks might do that. You know that. They like white boys who could shoot.
No, the Bucks would do that. The Bucks would sign Hayward if he was a free agent, and it wouldn't work out in December. They trade him for.
Depending on, like, I would be shopping Terry Rozier for a player like Pat Williams off Chicago or like something off of Golden State. Like, somebody might want Terry Rozier, you know?
It's tough because these teams are like the Pacers did it for a while, and they finally did the right thing, and the Halliburton trade was genius. It was that situation. They don't have anyone like Sabonis in Charlotte, but you can't cheat it. It's like going to the gym, and then every time they start to make gains, all right, time to do steroids and accelerate this. It's like, no, you guys aren't ready to really bulk up yet. You guys are still barely lifting. You're benching like 100 and they're at the bar, and it's fine. Like, you're making progress, but they keep accelerating. Like, okay, time to sign Hayward.
Yep.
Time to sign Rozier. And that's what the Pacers did for a while. We saw the Wizards do that for a while, and you get stuck in purgatory. And Nick was talking about that with the Blazers the last couple of years. And it's like, make your decision. Either bottom out, which they have been at the bottom for a while. But, yeah, to your point too, Zach, stop signing these guys.
Like, you just said, like, you get to a point where you realize I have to make a move to accelerate it because we're plateauing. Like, kind of what Cleveland did. They're like, we know what we are now. Let's get Mitchell. Like, figure out what's on the team, and then you know what you can get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what's depressing, though. Like, Cleveland post LeBron's done a great job.
Right.
Utah post Mitchell Gobert did a great job.
Right.
All these teams are doing a great job. The Spurs, everyone's always on the Spurs. I know you're anti-Spurs, but everyone's always like they're the best organization. They were shit for the last, 3 years?
But that's your own damn fault for thinking that LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan were going to carry you somewhere. Like, they should have bailed on that earlier.
Exactly. Everyone, now that they have Wemby, it's like, that's the Spurs genius. It's like, not really. They kind of were a mediocre, like, Bulls West until Wemby now fell in their lap. So pump the brakes on that.
Yeah. So do y'all have any faith that Charlotte can turn this around?
Not in 1 year. Like James said,
maybe like 5 years.
Oh,
They'd be competing for like a plan.
There's no doubt that you can get it right within 5 years. I'm more worried about, are you going to screw it up within 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, new owners can do a lot.
Yeah.
And people point to the Bucks' new owners, but it was kind of a coincidence that Giannis just happened to be burgeoning into a superstar at the same time. And they made a push to, like, it doesn't change everything, but with how poorly Michael Jordan ran that team, it can only get better. I really believe that. So I think the future is looking bright. I like where Charlotte sits now more than I did a year ago, even with not taking Scoot. And a lot of that has to do with Michael Jordan not making these picks anymore. And free agents. He wasn't good at running a team.
Nothing.
at all.
Nothing.
At all. You can't make a case.
No, there's not.
I would love to hear the case.
If you want to make a case, drop it in the comments. We're gonna laugh at your comment. But
Give me a burner.
Charlotte, keep your head up, Charlotte. It's gonna get better. Not this year, but we're saying it's gonna get better at some point.
And we're not Charlotte Hornets haters,
No.
so don't accuse us of that.
No, we're just keeping it real with you. And I know all over the internet, majority of fans agreed that they wanted Scoot over Miller. So I already know they're going to be very upset with that.
Embrace Miller. Enjoy him.
Mm-hmm.
You're stuck with him now, so I might as well.
As well. Yeah.
All right, Charlotte fans. If you like NBA content like this, man, make sure you like, subscribe to the network. We got you covered all throughout the NBA season. If you start showing us some love, of course, we'll do a lot more on your team. If you don't, it's fine. We'll still talk mess if they suck, and we'll still praise them if they do good. That being said, man, y'all be safe, Charlotte. Good luck. Have a good season, and we're out.
Peace.
How much I'm working for this? I swear my dreams are too important.